Okay, well, welcome back, everyone. Hope you had an enjoyable lunch. What we're going to do in this first session after lunch is do a little bit of a feedback from each of the workshops, just because obviously you had to split yourselves up into these different workshops. So it's just about the presenters and that were at those workshops, just taking 5 minutes to just talk about some of the key issues or notes that came out of those particular workshops. So perhaps while I'm up here, I'll do the two that I participated in as the first lot. So the first one was around the cancer services and information for Pacific communities. So that was the one that was at the back of the room over here, where we talked to all the service providers that have got the stands there. And I think it was really important sort of to see how much supportive care services actually come out of the non-government organisations for cancer. And really, you know, the importance of the organisations like the Cancer Society, the Blood and Leukemia Foundation, Sweet Louise, all of those different support services around for patients when they're on the cancer pathway. There was also a number of services back there around screening, so we had some discussion about breast screening and cervical screening, and also about wider health issues, so tobacco control, Heartbeat Pacifica, and also the ALAC. There's a information there around alcohol, which is Anne brought up this morning, is actually really important when you're talking about cancer. But it was very, very clear too that a lot of these activities, especially around the health promotion messages, are wider than just cancer. You know, they do go across lots of the other diseases, as we heard from this morning. So the stall holders are still at the back there. There's also the information that you can take away, and all of them have got websites, so you can go on there and pick up other information as well, and other linkages that you might need. The other session that I did was around the health service co-designs. That was in the FAR meeting room, and that was looking at just briefly running over a toolkit that the Waitemata DHB have pulled together to better support service providers to work with consumers about service improvement. And so it's about keeping the consumers and the service providers as partners within this process, and instead of what we're used to doing in general terms, which is asking what's not working well, but then us going away and actually sorting out how we're going to fix that. It's actually doing that whole process together. So there's some booklets and toolkits that they were given. There's information again about that on our website, and if anyone wants a workshop, Stephanie, who's on our team, does these workshops. They are 3 hours long, because you do some exercises as you go along to sort of help with the learning around the toolkit. But just get hold of us and we can organise to come out and do those with your services. So perhaps if I can ask the other presenters to come up, or the other workshop leads. So Saloma, can you come up and just have a chat about the Workforce and Community Cancer Fono session that you did?
Here I am again. The workshop we did was talking about the Pacific Health Workforce Fonos and the Community Fono. Some of the issues that came up was a question on how can we build on the current Fono, which is happening now today, across the region. How can we build on that to further develop the Pacific workforce in terms of cancer, sharing the knowledge? So that's a question that came up at the meeting. And the other question, which I think was really significant, was how do we know what the community want? And I think she asked, what's your name, please? Yeah. She asked, how do we know when we are in a community setting, Fono, what the community want? Because we were talking about the community Fono, how we arranged all this big community Fono and ordered 2 buses one from the Hut and one from Wellington. And we got a primary health provider to organise the community. And then the buses turn up that morning and only 3 people, you know, the buses, they're 40-seater, and only 3 people got on the Hut bus, and the same as Wellington. And the Fono was at Porirua. So what we said was, I will never ever let anyone else organise what I want to do. In future, I will do it myself. My staff will do it themselves. Then we know that if we fail, it's us, not someone else. And then the community, thankfully, Porirua arrived in numbers. So we had a lot of people at the Fono, but the issue was, how do we know what the community want? So we went with a set agenda. Big timetable, speakers galore. And of course we got a speaker, a survivor, cancer survivor, to speak. And that was the beginning of the change in the agenda of the Fono. So the community, once she told her story, the rest of the community told their stories. So it was like a storytelling session of which the community really participated in and got involved and shared their concerns, shared their experiences. So it was a good learning curve for us as Pacific. I suppose we learn now that the community will tell us, not us telling them, planning their lives. So that's another area. The other area that was questioned at at our community Fono was a directory or a list of all services across the region that families can access to know which service to use for their people. And I've said that the Hut and Cape Coast developed a directory of services. Maybe that's something that can be shared with here, but continue that you can do that one. Identify all the services that can be accessed by people with cancer and their families, and then put the whole directory together so that the whole region can access those services, because we all know that patients can be transferred from Cape Coast to Central, to Wanganui, to Cape Coast, Hut. So there is a need to share those resources, a service directory. So that's...
Just noting on that, with the group that we had at the back there, we talked about the CCN Cancer Services Directory, which is the web-based tool. What Salome was talking about, which is the Hut Wellington and Wairarapa one, that's it's electronic, but it's also in hard copy, and Monica brought a copy of that. It's up the back as well. Mm-hmm. So it's about, so I think that the basics of those are there. It's about how do we better promote that so that people are more aware of it, both from a service provider perspective, but also from consumers directly engaging with those tools as well. So I think that's a challenge for us around the promoting of those directories. It's just through the Central
CCN.
CCN website. So if at the back of the room on the Cancer Society stand, there's some pamphlets, but I might just get Steve at some stage just to put them around to everyone actually, so you can take one of those home with you. Yeah. Right, so we'll grab those as well. Thanks, Monica.
Well, sorry, just to acknowledge Monica. Monica's our cancer person manager at the Hutt Valley District Health Board. She was responsible for making sure that directory was on target, but she's here to support us today. Thank you, Monica.
Okay, Steve, could... Oh, Afama-sanga, sorry, I thought you were heading out. Are you able to come up and just talk about the Pacific Radio? Just a 5 minutes about the key messages and comments that came out of that? Beg pardon, I thought you'd headed away.
How did I get this? Tarofa. The cancer project that we worked on actually came out of what we're doing for Capital and Coast District Health Board. Samoa Capital Radio has been involved with delivering messages of health for the past 7 years. And from that, they came to us to see if we could do something to coordinate all the messages, so we have the same message for all the Pacific Island nations. And out of that project, we work with all our Pacific broadcasters on 783 AM, Access Radio, and Samoa Capital Radio and Catalyst Pacific. We're managing the project. Now, we have a plan for the year, and in that we got the streams or the themes that we need to deliver to all our Pacific Island groups. And then we got this cancer. And some of the things that we did was we contacted the Cancer Foundation, Cancer Society, and we got all the different people to come on board, and we discussed the services and the various issues or the topics that we need to disseminate to the community. We also try and enlist our Pacific speakers with the expertise to talk directly to our communities. We find that that's the best way to get the message to our Pacific Samoans, Tongans, Tokelau, Niue, Tuvalu, and Fijians. So I guess for us here, for the people in Whanganui, Manawatu, feel free to use the Pacific Island radio stations. It's the most effective and cheapest way to get your message out. You organize a Fono, like you had before, you've got no guarantee you're going to get this number of people in the Fono. You go on air, taxi drivers listen to you, bus drivers listen to you, people in the offices, factories. That's where you get your message. Now, we do bilingual programs, English, and we translate as we go through. So you capture the audience, the Palangi speakers as well as Pacific Island speakers. And we find it very effective. 2 programs we did. The cancer survivor that Siloma mentioned, she was also interviewed on radio. And following that program, we had people ring in and said, how can I get myself registered for a check? Because of that message. I interviewed a man who lost a wife through cancer, and the same thing happened. Men start telling their wives, you better get checked. I don't want to lose you. So there are ways of delivering the message. You can hand out your flyers and things, and people will just bend them. But if you talk on air, they can relate to you, identify with the message, and that's how we find the radio quite effective. So we got a website. On there, there's samoacapitalradio.co.nz. We also put the podcast, health programs that we've done, and if you miss it, you can go on there and listen to it. And for those Samoans who want the scandals from the island every day of the week, you get the news feed at 8 o'clock, and it also goes on the website. And our Pacific broadcasters, we're trying to work with them to get something similar, so we can cater for their own Pacific people. Any question? I'm sorry, there was a present I offered to the group here because it wasn't all of you, so only the people that were here got that present.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll make sure that we've got links on our website
Yes.
through to those podcasts. Perhaps just noting too that the broadcast area is very wide for Pacific Radio, so for our region it goes right up to southern Taranaki and just short of Tairāwhiti, so it covers all of our area and then down pretty much Christchurch, isn't it? Down in the South Island as well, so a great coverage area as far as that goes too. So Steve, can I get you to just talk about the men's health session?
Men's health, it went over time, but that was because we were just getting into it, and by that time, and basically what we did is we just done the rounds as to where everybody was from, so we were Taranaki, Hawke's Bay, Wanganui and Hutt Valley. Then we wanted to know men's activities, really good programs which are happening for Pacific. So we did actually go around, and there was actually a lot. So most of the session was talking about some of the things that are happening, and then by the end of it, we thought it's a bit too much information, so we're going to pull everything into our website so we can collate the activity which are happening for men's health. And next year we're actually going to be looking at revamping our website. So on there we're going to have men's health, and then we can click on it and we can see which activities are happening in Taranaki, so that we can see how the volleyball club is happening in Taranaki, how that is developing some of the health initiatives there, and then you can click on different parts of the region as to what is happening there. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we can just find out what's happening. Like Anthony also spoke about a touch rugby tournament that's in its 25th year. Is it 25 years? What's a 25th tournament? You know, that shows longevity. So why not use that event, or else to start one up locally? So we just want to pull in all of these really good ideas and that are happening. And also, which we actually ran out of time, is that there are funding opportunities there as well if we can link in with Cancer Society and with Men's Health. And so that's the main thing for the community groups, and to actually work alongside with some of the providers. PHOs also provide programs, so it's just linking in with them, just to make things happen. And then we also had Jeff, and that was just talking about how small things can happen. It doesn't have to be the big thing about having a big drama to get to the gym. It could just be real simple things, and just to be positive. And no matter how beautiful you look in that mirror, he said, say, oh, I'm fat. He says, you just say, oh, look how awesome I am. You know, it's about just being positive and doing the real small things. Yes, I am. Imagine if I was, so I'm looking fantastic. So it's all programming our mind and just changing our behaviour. It's the small things. And so that was a really good session. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. And last but not least, Sila or Sharon, and/or can they please come up and just have a...
What we talked about in our session really was, I'm from the Wanganui Regional Primary Health Organisation, and it's a mainstream primary health organisation we have 68,000 people in our region that we looked after through GP practices. And the whole story that we told was really around us connecting with a community development project within the Pacifica community, and that meant that Pacifica Health people could get healthcare delivered appropriately and culturally. And Celia will tell you about her side.
I'm Silo, Ro Silo, Baketonga Nangasima Ratmetavuki. That's my full name. Most of us Pacifica, our name also have got meanings. Yeah? It's about your sense of belonging. It's about who you are and your family. It's about your sense of belonging. But me, most of the time, I'm just well known in Wanganui's Silo Nangasima. It's about clinical and culture should work hand in hand to benefit not just the wellness of one person, but the wellness of the whole whānau. So Frangipani, Pan Pacific of Wanganui, it's about the whole family. Most of the services, you look at it, it just divides up by the age groups. 0 to 5, you belong there. 5 to 10, you belong there. But the Frangipani, Pan Pacific of Wanganui, it's about everybody, whether you go to church or not. Me, I don't go to church anymore. I was born and brought up in the islands. Like what I said before, till today it's still remote. I know my culture, I know my language, and also I'm glad that I've been through a lot. At that time, I used to question, oh God, why me? At times, I felt like giving up because I came into a totally new environment, new culture, new people. Even though subjects were taught in English back home, but it was different accent. I didn't fit in. So that's why I started the Frangipani last year. It's not about me, it's about the community. Most of us are still left and still wearing their shoes that I used to wear 15 years ago. But now I'm in a position where I can advocate and support our people so we can live well and be participating well in the community that we lived in. I also have done most of my training through LEVA. TEPO, it's a mental health component for Pacifica people in the national. There was a lady over here from Wellington that we did the leadership training on LEVA. So that's about the Frangipani. Runakavakalevu.
So hopefully that's just given you a taste of the workshops that perhaps you weren't able to participate in. We did manage, or Jeff managed to video 2 of them. So we decided on the cancer services information because we thought that would be a useful tool potentially for later on for people to actually go back and reference what these different organisations do. And then the other one, which was videoed, was the Sharon and Silo's presentation that they just spoke about. So they'll be on the website as well. And we'll have the actual presentations from the other ones that we can load up as well.